Hello, everyone, and welcome to the new series that I'm doing. And this will be the last new series that I'm doing, by the way, everyone. And to answer most of you why I decided to do this one, I honestly have no idea. Trying to figure out what I do is like someone microwaving your goddamn brain. So don't even bother trying to figure out what the hell comes up in my head. But yeah. Other than me giving a jab to myself, there's a few things that I would like to, tell and ask you guys to do. Alright. First thing, I'm going to tell you guys to not have a very high expectation on this what if. Yeah, I chatted with Raven about it. He thinks it's interesting and a good idea. But Raven's always done, very well in the hero department. Well, you guys who watch my channel mostly know that my channel is a lot more darker and just doesn't focus more on the heroic parts of heroes. So yeah. So this is coming from me. Don't expect a very good what if here. Because I'm mostly going off of canon in this one. So yeah. This is basically our only warning. Fuck ups ahead, people. Alright, so now that I have given you your warning and everything, now it's time for me to ask something of you guys. And this is mostly from my longtime viewers, as this is a chance where you can, help me and, really be useful other than you guys watching my content and, giving me support every now and then. I would like you guys to, tell me once you watch the video from start to finish your thoughts, where I could, done things better, how I could have written this character better. So yeah. And all comments are justified as long as, they help out with making this particular series better. So yeah. With, everything that I have, told and asked you guys now, I guess I should, start the video. Once again, warning, this will probably be a complete and utter shit show, so pray to God that's not. As we cut to, a store. A music store. As we can see, our protagonist, Izumi, Midoriya, as we can see her scrolling through certain songs and that through, well, the music store's database. Mostly from, well, the early to, well, late 2000s. Basically, in between. As she's currently looking at, well, a few Foo Fighters songs and Nirvana, along with a few Linkin Park. As she happens to, well, stumble across, well, one of her most favorite bands, Five Finger Death Punch. As we can see a very small smile, as she would click on that file, as she has already given her, well, MP3 player to, well, the store, as she starts, well, buying the music. As while she's doing this, and doing the, well, requisition, we take a dive into her memories of how she got to where she is currently. As we see Izumi go to, well, the memory when she first unlocked her quirk, called Sound of Destruction. As we see a much younger Izumi who is 6 years old. Simply being, well, picked on by Bakugou, simply due to, well, her eye colors, as Izumi has 2 different colors of eyes. One green, like her mother's, and one blue, according to her mother, just like her father. As Bakugou kept on teasing her, calling her a freak, because of her eyes. As Izumi tries to go to her happy place, putting on, well, her set of headphones that she got as, well, a present not too long ago from an unknown person, with the present only saying, "Happy 6th birthday, my little star." As she thinks that it could be from her dad, even though she never met, well, her father. Ever. As Bakugou would quickly rip them off her head, and, well, accidentally use his quirk to, well, snap them in two. As we can see, well, Bakugou let go of them quickly as he shakes his hand off, as he still hasn't gotten used to his quirk by that point. As all we can see in the memory is Izumi quickly run over and try and put the headphones back together in a way, realizing that she can't. As at that moment, Izumi took, well, all her anger and frustrations of the world out on Bakugou. As she would turn around, take a deep breath in, and let out, well, a loud sound. As some people would say it was a screech, others people saying that it sounded like thunder. But everybody could agree on that it was dangerous and could destroy things fairly easily. As we could see Bakugou being flung into the wall that he had, well, Izumi against. As the wall would start to, well, come apart, with Bakugou being sent through it. As after Izumi stopped, she would, well, collapse. As the memory would fade, as we would skip to more memories, with these memories going throughout her childhood. As we could see, well, her at desk, with people surrounding her. As months and years would go on, those people would be less and less. Some leaving out of fear, some leaving thinking that they could never reach her level with quirks or her, well, grades. Until, well, one day, everything changed for her. She managed to, well, make an old friend, in a way. As we would stop at one particular memory, as we can see, well, a much older Bakugou, a 12-year-old Bakugou, set down, well, his lunch at Izumi's desk. As we can hear, well, multiple sounds of, well, whispering within the memory. As for the longest time, Bakugou was afraid of Izumi. After, well, the incident when they were 6. As we hear from, well, Bakugou saying, Izumi, you don't mind if I sit here and eat with you, do you? As we can see in the memory, a very small smile curling around her lips. As nobody else saw it to her knowledge in her memory. Although, we can see, well, a small smile appear on, well, Bakugou's lips as well, as both were hardly noticeable, making them both kind of look like they were, well, having neutral looks to one another. as we can see Izumi smile and, well, the memory drop. As we see, well, Izumi simply going on to eat her sandwich. As we just hear from her after she swallows, "Do whatever you please, I'm not gonna stop ya. As long as you don't try to do anything stupid to me, we won't have any problems, Bakugou." As we can see Bakugou honestly to God smile, as he would, well, sit down and, well, with him putting up his hand saying, "Don't worry, I'm not gonna try anything, Izumi. I learned my lesson about messing with you a long time ago." As the memories would, well, stop, as we are now in, well, current time, as we can see, well, current Izumi leaving the music store. As we can see her, well, walking through the downtown, as she would hear, well, a large amount of racket. As she would see, well, a group of people, as she would worm her way through to see what's going on. As she would see, well, two girls. One in a much more fancier uniform, with the other one having a uniform similar to, well, her own school, but yet not hers. As she would realize that this seems to be some kind of shakedown. As we see Izumi sigh, as she would pull out, well, a popsicle stick that was in her mouth, with no popsicle on it, as she finished it a while ago. As she would put in her fingers and simply flick at the guy, harassing the two girls, with this catching the man's attention. As Izumi would have one pocket in her sweater, with another at her side. As she would be giving, well, a look in a way. As the man would get, well, a bit angry and, well, frustrated at Izumi, as he would say, "Why the fuck did you just throw garbage at me, kid?" With Izumi saying in, well, a very calm but slightly quiet tone, saying, "There are two ways that we can do this. A, you can tell me what your problem is here, and I can try and help you to the best of my abilities. Or B, it gets ugly, and I put you in a hospital. Which one will be?" As the man would stare directly into, well, Izumi's eyes, with him finding no deceit, no deception, the pure unadulterated truth from her, as he realizes that the girl in front of him would have no problems backing up the promise that she just made. As he would tell her that he was looking for a bar. As we see Izumi pulling, well, a sucker out of her pocket, as she would unwrap it and stick it in her mouth, as she would just simply say, "Alright, just keep on going down and take a left. And next time, when you want to ask somebody something when you need to get to a place, don't sound so threatening. It makes you look like a villain. As the man would grunt at that, saying, "Noted," as he would leave. As Izumi would do the same, going, well, straight and taking right. As Izumi would stop to hear, well, someone running up behind her, as she would quickly turn, about to shout, as she would close her mouth, seeing that it is, well, the two girls and one boy. As she now recognizes that the boy is wearing, well, the same uniform as the girl that she noticed earlier, the pink one. As the boy would simply ask, "How did you do that? How could you be so strong to stand up to that man?" As Izumi would simply take the sucker out of her mouth, as she would simply say, "Not a big fan of bullies." Had to deal with a fair number of those in my childhood. As before she could turn around and leave, her wrist would be grabbed by, well, the young man. As she would look at him with a cold look, saying, "I don't remember saying you could touch me." As the man would say, "Sorry about that, but there's one more question I want to ask you." As Izumi would sigh, simply putting the sucker back in her mouth as she would take her headphones off, giving the boy her full attention. As she would say, "What is it? I'm currently late. I need to get to arcade to meet up with a friend." As he would say, "Can you tell me how you got to be that strong?" As Izumi would simply, well, think back to it and simply say, "Luck of the draw." It helps, though, when your aunt takes shit from nobody, though. But as Izumi would scratch the back of her head, ruffling her hair in the back, as she would simply let out a sigh, as she would continue. "But I guess if you're looking for a more physical way of, well, how I'm strong, best way I can put it is, well, just try and do the right thing, no matter what people think of you. Everybody has their own strengths and weaknesses. I just know mine. And I know where I stand in the world. I guess what I'm trying to say here is you need to figure out where you stand in the world and what you want to do. As the man, as we would meet in the future as Kirishima, would simply look down, saying, "I understand. Thank you for your time." As he would give a slight bow and walk off, as he would go, well, train. To be more like the girl that he just met. strong and dependable. As the two others, Momo and Mina, would bow as well and go off well with their friend. As we see, Izumi scratch the side of her head a little bit as she would shrug and keep on going to the arcade. As we would cut to, the beginning of the anime, really. As we can see, Izumi in a classroom, simply tapping, her finger on the desk, with a sucker in her mouth, just listening to, her music. As she would notice the door suddenly open to the classroom, as her teacher would walk in with, a handful of papers. As everything would happen just like in canon. The teacher would do his same stick of throwing the papers in the air and just being loud, with Izumi's hearing becoming a bit uncomfortable due to the noise in, the classroom. As we can hear Bakugou quiet them down, saying, "Oh, you shut up! You'll be lucky if you can make it to being a B-ranked hero. After all, me and Izumi here are the only ones that will make it into the best schools like UA. So shut up and sit down, losers." As we can see, a small smirk appear on, Izumi's face as she's still looking out the window. As Bakugou would see, the reflection of, the smirk in the window, as he would smile knowing that he helped out his, only friend by this point. As the teacher would go on to explain which students how applied for which schools. With no supplies, Izumi and Bakugou signing themselves up for UA. With everybody knowing with them being the best students in the school, though they are for sure to get in, especially into the hero course with their quirks. With Bakugou's explosion and Izumi's sound of destruction. As the day would end with, Bakugou walking up to her, asking her, "Hey, I'm planning on going to the arcade like usual. You still planning on meeting up, Izumi?" With Izumi taking her headphones off and looking at Bakugou saying, "Sorry, gotta head to the music store. Heard that they got some more old-time music in there. Heard that they found some Coldplay stuff." as Bakugou would, sigh and shake his head, saying, "I'll never understand why you enjoy listening to that old stuff. It's nothing more about war and death and suffering." And with Izumi giving, a smirk as she says, "And Bakugou, when have I ever followed the norm?" With Bakugou chuckling at that, saying, "You're right, Izumi. Well then, I'll try and save you a spot in the arcade then. I know you'll probably show up eventually. You get bored of that music store very easily." With Izumi just shaking her head and getting out of her desk, grabbing, her bag. As the two would leave the school, as both would head off in opposite directions. Once they made it to a certain point, with Bakugou heading to the arcade, and Izumi taking her favorite shortcut to the music store. As we see her walking under the bridge in Cannon. As she notices, a sewer crate slightly ajar. As she takes that into, notice. As she, removes one of her headphones from her ear. As she would have one listening to music, and one paying attention to the surroundings of the area. As her sense of hearing would pick up the subtle creak of the manhole sliding, open. As Izumi would perform a 180 aimed directly at, the manhole cover, as she can see, sludge coming through. As Izumi, analyzing what the threat could be, realizes that she might as well take it out before it can even get to her. As we see Izumi take a, deep breath in, as she would let out, a thunderous boom from her maw. With no lightning coming out, but what looks to be, sound waves, in a way. As we can see, where the manhole cover was, is now completely destroyed. With the metal of the manhole shattered, along with, the rock that connected the manhole to the sewers crumbled into nothing but dust. As Izumi wouldn't smile or smirk or do anything. As she would, simply walk backwards, as once she got away from under the bridge, she would do a 180 and do a speed walk away from, the area. As we cut to the sewers, as we can see the Sludge villain losing his goddamn mind. As we hear him simply say, "Know what, maybe dealing with the goddamn fucking blonde idiot might be a better idea than going after that chick. Jesus fucking Christ, she's scary. If that fucking hit me, Jesus Christ only knows what would have happened to my organs and eyes. Oh shit." As the Sludge villain would hear, loud amounts of thumping, as the Sludge villain would keep on running. As we would see, All Might quickly come around the corner. As he would see the Sludge villain turn, as a watch on his wrist would beep. As we just hear him growl, "Damn it! My time's almost up. I should probably just call the police." and tell them to be, well, wary. I'm sure my friend will understand. As All Might would get out of, well, the destroyed hole, as he would, well, just notice that. As he would turn around to see the hole that he just crawled out of. Basically looking like somebody took high explosives and blew, well, the manhole. With the manhole cover basically being shards of metal. As All Might would shake his head, saying, "No, I need to contact, well, the police and the heroes. The Sludge villain can still be out there." As All Might would pick up his phone and, well, dial. As we cut to, well, Izumi as she made it to the music store. As she finally got to see the selection that the store had on some of its older music. As we can see a new person enter the store. A person for, well, phone jacks or head jacks on their ears. As we already know that this person is Jiro. As she has, well, a guitar slung across her back. As Jiro would notice, well, a blonde girl looking in, well, the classical section of music for the 20th century. As she would, well, peek over the girl's shoulder, looking at, well, the selection that she's going through. As Jiro would smile but also cringe at some of the songs, knowing some of the meanings behind them. As we would just simply hear from Izumi, "It's rude to eavesdrop, you know," as she's still scrolling through. As Jiro would startle a little bit. As the man at the counter would simply laugh, saying, "No reason to worry about her, Izumi. Jiro's a regular at this place, just like you. I'm actually surprised that you two just ran into each other now of all times. I'm sure I've seen you two in here, well, more than once." With Jiro, well, looking at the headphones, seeing that what Izumi's wearing is, well, considered retro by this day and age. As it has a chrome finish with black plastic and a small, well, speaker piece that slides out of the headset itself. Like one of those old gaming headsets, with most headsets being wireless these days. As Hiro would go to somewhere else in the store and stop bothering Izumi. As Izumi would do her usual, grab some new songs and head over to, well, the register. With her saying, "How much this time?" With the man simply smiling, saying, "You've been coming here for a while, so I'll give you a discount for being a regular this time." With a small smile appearing on, well, Izumi's face, as the man would laugh. with him saying, "I was wondering when I would get to see that smile of yours. You always come in here looking like someone shot your puppy." As Izumi would shrug, with her saying, "Not much to smile about these days, sadly." With villains still popping up and heroes still being needed, and wars still happening in the Middle East, like I said, not much to smile about. With the man at the desk saying, "You should really watch some of All Might's, fights. That man always smiles." With Izumi, shaking her head, saying, "His smiles are fake." I can tell. That man holds a lot of pain from what I see. As the cash registerman would just shake his head, saying, "Fine, fine. You're usually right on that stuff, so I'm not gonna argue with you on it. But still, you should really, watch some of his stuff. It's inspiring most of the time." With Izumi basically saying, "I'll think on it." As Izumi would pay demand after demand would tell her, what she owes the store. As the man would hand her, her MP3 with the music installed on it. As we can see Jiro watching Izumi leave. As now that Jiro thinks about it, she does remember seeing this girl a lot of the time in the store throughout the years. As Jiro would shake her head and go back to shopping. As we cut a few minutes later to the arcade. As Izumi got there not too long ago and played a few games with Bakugou. As we can see the two leave. With Izumi having, a sucker, and Bakugou simply having a bottle of water, as Bakugou would simply look at Izumi, saying, "You know, if you keep on eating those things, you're going to rot your teeth out, right?" With Izumi shrugging, saying, "I have a good dentist. No skin off of my back." As before anybody could notice anything, we would hear Bakugou, scream, as the sludge villain would appear out of the cereal crates. As Izumi would try to grab Bakugou, but only be slapped away by the sludge villain. As Izumi would be flung into the crowd. With her headphones being knocked off, as Izumi would hear, screams everywhere. Along with the sounds of explosions coming from where Bakugou is. As we can see, a little bit of blood trickle down one of Izumi's ears. As Izumi would touch that ear and bring her hand back, showing some blood. As we just hear Izumi simply, cough out the word, Fuck, I'm bleeding. Fucking bastard. As Izumi is downright pissed. As we can see, the same heroes come and not be able to handle the situation. Simply saying that they don't have, well, the proper quirk to deal with this. As we also see All Might in, well, the background, or Small Might, as he's simply looking away in disappointment for himself. As everybody would hear, well, one of the heroes saying to, well, a girl that she can't go. She's not a hero. As we would hear the girl shout, with this girl being Izumi at the hero, saying, if you fuckwits aren't going to do your job, then I will. Fuck the consequences, be damned. As Izumi would simply take her headphones off, as her eyes would narrow at the Sludge villain, as Izumi would actually get serious. As Izumi's mind would be going at a mile a minute, figuring out which, well, pitch and tone would be the best for this situation. As she has likely analyzed that the Sludge villain is mostly liquid. As she's going to use a tone, but it will hurt Bakugou as well, but not as severely. If she, well, uses it at the right time to pull out Bakugou. As Izumi would simply breathe in, brace herself, as people hear a type of screeching sound come out of Izumi's voice, as a lot of the heroes would be stunned at this, as they're basically watching what they believe to be a female version of, well, one of their fellow heroes, Mike. As the Sludge would, well, peel off of Bakugou, trying to get away from, well, the sound wave in pain. As Izumi would quickly go in, grab Bakugou, and rip him out. As Izumi would stop, as she would start coughing a little bit, with, well, some phlegm and blood coming out. As that has always, well, done a number on her voice. As she knows that she's going to be raspy for a few days now. As all she can think is her mother is going to kill her for, well, using her quirk in public again. As Izumi would notice, well, a shadow looming over her. As she would see the Sludge villain staring down at her with anger and fury in his eyes, as he would just simply say, "You! I remember you now! I should just fucking took in your body and killed you! I'm not going to make the same mistake again!" As everything would come down to, well, a crawl. As Izumi would see, well, the Sludge villain lunge at her. As all of a sudden, time would speed up, as you would see the Sludge villain go splat all over the place. As All Might would be standing over Izumi, with his fist, well, smoking a bit, due to the punch that he put into it. As everybody else would be, well, surprised that All Might arrived. as All Might would say his usual speech. "Have no fear, I am here, citizens," as everyone would begin to cheer, as Izumi would look at All Might with, well, some newfound respect. For, well, the big idiot, as she likes to put him. As a few minutes would pass, as we can see Izumi attempting to be reprimanded by the other heroes, with Izumi simply having her arm crossed, saying, "I didn't see you fuckwits trying to do anything. Protectors my ass and heroes. Where the fuck did you even get your heroes licenses? The fucking boonies?" With one of the heroes going to threaten, while Izumi, with All Might coming in behind her, staring down the hero, saying, "The young girl is right. We're heroes. We should have been there to protect the civilians, not just stand around and be security. I might not agree with the girl's crudeness when it comes to her language, but she was more of a hero than any of us today. I want you to respect her words and her judgment that she made." As the respect for All Might would come in, well, a little bit more. As she would simply look at All Might and simply say, "Thanks, but I didn't need your help there." As the other heroes started leaving not too long after All Might said that, leaving her alone. As All Might's watch would begin to, well, ring again, as he would say, "I have to go now. But I hope to see you at, well, UA. Your quirk seems to be very promising, along with your attitude. You'll make a great hero one day. And may I be so kind to ask your name?" With Izumi, while shrugging, realizing that it won't hurt, saying, Izumi Midoriya." As All Might would nod, keeping that in mind as he would jump off. As we see Bakugou stumble over to, well, Izumi, laughing a bit, as his laughter would go from being, well, quiet to very, very loud, right next to Izumi, with Izumi looking at him saying, "What?" With him wiping a tear from his eyes, saying, "The fact that you just told off a bunch of heroes. Oh, not even I would be that gutsy. Izumi, has anybody told you that you're a very strange girl?" With Izumi just smirking, saying, "Oh, that's why you're friends with me, aren't ya?" With Bakugou shaking his head, saying, "You don't mind helping me home, do ya? I'm sure, well, our parents are freaking out." With Izumi nodding at that, and slinging one of Bakugou's arms over her shoulder, and walking him out of the area. Before both of them could get questioned what's going on. As we can see, well, the press mostly focusing on the heroes and asking where All Might ran off to, not really focusing on her. As Izumi would think to herself, So, All Might will be at UA. This year should be fun, as that's where I'm going to leave it off, everyone. Hopefully you guys enjoyed this What If. I tried to not make it too close to canon, as you guys can clearly tell. I found a way to fit most things in, but yeah. Hopefully you guys, well, enjoyed it, and don't forget to, well, comment and tell me where I went wrong with the characters' personalities and just this particular What If in general. So yeah. Also, if you're new to the channel, don't forget to, well, subscribe, ring the little bell so you will be notified on any of our new content and prior content that gets released. Also, there will be a link in the description down below for those of you who want to, well, join the Discord and be a bit more help towards the channel, as we have servers in there for Q&As, original characters, and just all sorts of stuff. So yeah, with all of that said, see you guys later, and have a good day and night, judging on time zones, everyone. Bye.